Hey, tell me about the Cold War. I want to know what happened during the Cold War.
The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension between the Soviet Union and the United States, lasting roughly from 1947 to 1991. Key events included 1. Ideological conflict. The U.S. promoted capitalism and democracy, while the Soviet Union supported communism. 2. Nuclear arms race. Both superpowers amassed large arsenals of nuclear weapons, leading to a tense standoff. 3. Proxy wars. Conflicts like the Korean War and Vietnam War were influenced by Cold War dynamics, with each side supporting opposing factions. 4. Space race. The competition extended to space exploration, culminating in the U.S. landing on the Moon in 1969. 5. Fall of the Berlin Wall. The Cold War began to thaw in the late 1980s, leading to the collapse of communist regimes in Eastern Europe and the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. It was a fascinating yet tense time in history. Is there a particular event or aspect of the Cold War that you find most interesting?
Why wasn't a Cold War a full-fledged war? Why was it a Cold War?
The Cold War was termed cold because it didn't escalate into direct large-scale military conflict between the superpowers. Here are a few reasons why. 1. Mutual assured destruction. Both the US and the Soviet Union possessed nuclear weapons, and the fear of total annihilation acted as a deterrent against direct confrontation. 2. Proxy conflicts. Instead of engaging in direct warfare, both sides supported other nations in conflicts, like in Korea and Vietnam, to avoid direct conflict while still exerting influence. 3. Diplomatic strategies. The use of diplomacy, espionage, and propaganda was preferred over open warfare, allowing both sides to compete without full-scale war. 4. Economic factors. Engaging in a full war would have been economically devastating for both nations, especially after the destruction of World War II. Ultimately, the Cold War was a complex interplay of military, political, and economic strategies that kept direct conflict at bay. What aspect of this tension fascinates you the most?
Tell me about Korean War. What was Korean War?
The Korean War 1950 to 1953 was a conflict between North Korea and South Korea, with significant involvement from international powers. Here's a brief overview. 1. Origins. After World War II, Korea was divided at the 38th parallel into two zones, the Soviet-backed North and the U.S.-backed South. 2. Invasion. On June 25, 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, aiming to unify the peninsula under communist rule. 3. International involvement. The United Nations, led by the U.S., intervened to support South Korea, while China and the Soviet Union backed North Korea. 4. Major battles. Key battles included the Battle of Pusan Perimeter, Incheon Landing, and the Battle of Chosin Reservoir. 5. Stalemate and armistice. The war reached a stalemate, leading to an armistice on July 27, 1953. The Korean peninsula remains divided along the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, to this day. The Korean War was significant in shaping Cold War dynamics and the geopolitical landscape of East Asia. Is there a specific aspect